Intelligently attractive content is what I want to be presenting, but the opponents are just trying to trash people, indifferent to the quality of work. I hope I'm making progress. It can be hard to figure. I have previously assessed a lot of popular channels, summing up the essence of what they are saying and have been saying over the past few months. A good number have documented absurd behavior and speech patterns, from Trump saying that he's always been a malignant narcissist and his syndrome is getting worse. Many now say he will not leave office. That presents a drastic problem, certainly. Shifting to Russia and Ukraine, Jake Bro suggests that Putin has now lost the war and can't believe how he has been defeated. Other YouTubers commenting in defense of Ukraine also support that assertion. The memorial parade was full of sadly crippled men who were led into a mad, crazy loss of their own personal health and fitness, while Putin keeps on enjoying all the best things that the vast wealth of Russia affords him. The whole value of revolution against the Tsar has been absurdly turned entirely back around to bring a new Tsar of the surveillance state, using the people as virtual slave soldiers. Colin Robertson pointed out that the Ruskies are trying to launder their image by sneaking back into Europe after having been sanctioned for their war crimes, and presenting at the Venice Biennale with some strategically selected state-approved artists. They think people will just ignore the inhuman acts of violence and destruction that keep on continuing his vain war efforts for over 4 years after his initial illegal invasion of Ukraine. It is so foul to see how those Russian oligarchs try to impress people with their obscene wealth. They require people to be placid, peaceable, and ignorantly stupid while they control and manipulate all the monetary systems. They want to influence any and all around them with the foul, ignorant lies. We simply cannot fall for any of those vulgar, insulting, false presumptions. Considering all the rich, vast annual incomes of the highest executives, I wonder at the inequality and injustice, because I see how far we are being pushed away from those early ideals of the revolutionaries who fought to found this nation. I can only see glimpses of some of their high ideals here and there occasionally, but I frequently see lots of greed and lust for wealth and power being encouraged and fueled. I think about my working processes and what effective results can I manifest on my low budget. I suppose it is still a miracle anyway, even though I never enjoy the feeling of rewards for great success. I am still able to do things that never could have been dreamed of in days gone by, when technologies were not so advanced. Critical assessments are being made all the time, of course, by people who have a strict sense of the value of their time. I know there is no sense of equality of justice. We are always in a horrible, everyday fight against phony, false propaganda and outright lies. To intentionally deceive people is very criminal in most cases, except for the business of magic tricks and perhaps a few other things. People racing by in their automobiles don't care about my work and seem to want to depress my value. I'm in a strong objection to everything that these people do. What they say they care about and what they say they stand for is not actually manifested in any of their actions. When people around you are no good, then it can be trying to have a fouling effect on your efforts. I know that my records of work prove my worthiness and intelligence, but there are those who still keep on being aggressively defiant against that. The business systems are broken from a point of view of sanity and rational intelligence. I am being encouraged to pander to a low-down mentality level when that is not in accordance with my inclination. I shall not lower the standards to that kind of failure level. There is a game of deliberately making people accept failure so as to destroy them and rob them. Obviously, the fight against crime keeps on leading to an urge to make people want to kill their enemies. The effort to protect and defend against illogical destructiveness is not an easy business. There are lots of different levels of video games that can try to suck people into the maddening, violent mentality. There are those who just want cannon fodder soldiers and would reinstitute the draft if they could. Logic suggests that qualified individuals operating in accordance with their own volition and free will are more stable than those being exploited. The constant mad battle over something like a whole lifetime legacy is being instigated over promises of a golden year's retirement. Consumer protection is another thing that Trump tries to dismantle. There is nothing but betrayal from Trump. He is a punk and a heel and has been called a good deal worse than those things too. Sarah Anderson, writing for the Institute for Policy Studies Inequality.org team, relayed to us the following testimony. I had some ancestors who lived in Newport, Rhode Island during the British occupation of that city 250 years ago. I recently went back there for a visit to learn a bit about the No Kings movement of that era. You know what I found? That within about a century after the hard-fought victory against the monarchy, royal forces had essentially reoccupied Newport. The heirs of railroad king Cornelius Vanderbilt and other aristocrats spared no expense in erecting oceanfront mansions modeled after European palaces. From these imposing edifices, they projected their dominance over all America. But even those robber barons of that first Gilded Age might have balked at the price tag for the White House ballroom now under construction. During this, our nation's second Gilded Age, Trump had initially insisted that private donors would cover all his ballroom's costs, but Republicans are now proposing that taxpayers cough up $1 billion allocation for Trump's Versailles-inspired party space. On the 250th anniversary of our revolt against a lavish British monarchy, will Congress actually approve taxpayer funds for a ballroom where King George III would have felt right at home? Stay tuned for this week's classic budget battle. A new analysis from Oxfam and the International Trade Union Confederation is making clear that the ongoing scandal of ever-widening gaps between the U.S. workers and highly paid corporate executives has gone global. Between 2019 and 2025, workers worldwide experienced a 12% decline in real wages, $2,326 in dollar terms. By contrast, pay for the world's 1,500 highest paid CEOs jumped 54% over the same period to an average $8.4 million. Petulant plutocrat of the week, have you thanked a billionaire yet today? Get to it already. This week's dour deep pocket, Stephen Roth, the billionaire CEO of Vornado Realty Trust, one of the nation's largest commercial landlords. What has Roth sour? Anyone who spouts the slogan, tax the rich, in an official earnings call last week with Wall Street investors. The 84-year-old exec deemed that tax maxim inherently dangerous. I must say, Roth told his potential investors, that I consider the phrase tax the rich, when spit out with anger and contempt by politicians both here and across the country, to be just as hateful as some disgusting racial slurs. Among the Poles that Roth sees as hate-mongers, Zoran Mamdani, the New York mayor, who strongly supports a proposed new tax on second homes in his city worth over $5 million, that levy on palaces like billionaire Ken Griffin's $238 billion New York penthouse. Charges Roth would amount to an assault on the American dream. The last word, Roth says the wealthy should be praised and thanked, notes the New York actor and commentator Alfred Tom, but their towers were built on the backs of workers who cannot even afford to live in the city they are building. Next 10 articles from the must-read category of inequality.org. Rihanna James, Why the US Tax Code Isn't Truly Progressive. Common Dreams. The rich pay more in taxes because they have more, but they don't pay more at levels anywhere close to counterbalancing their outsized gains. Branko Marcetic, These poor billionaires are melting down overtaxing the rich. Jacobin, facing the prospect of paying a bit more in taxes, billionaires are responding calmly and rationally by deeming themselves a traumatized and oppressed minority group. Jill Goldsmith, Media CEO, Pay 2025 Big Bucks Compensation Reignites Wage Gap Debate as LA Nonprofit Pushes for Overpaid CEO Tax. Deadline. In Los Angeles, a new tax proposal would, if enacted, hike the city's existing business tax tenfold on corporations that pay their top execs over 500 times what they pay their typical workers. Dean Baker, Citizens United, Buckley versus Vallejo, and media ownership, turning money into power, beat the press. If we want to get serious about challenging the billionaire grip on political power, we have to start thinking differently. Noah Hawley, What I Learned About Billionaires at Jeff Bezos' Private Retreat Financial Review. The closer you come to grand fortune, the more you realize that being truly rich doesn't mean amassing enough money to afford super yachts and private jets. For the super rich, everything becomes effectively free. Paul Krugman, Will our hyper-gilded age usher in genuine populism? Substack. The tech bros now rate as worse than the robber barons ever were, and voters are catching on. Robert Reich, Psst, what no one will tell you about the national debt, but I will. Substack, the wealthiest Americans years ago paid higher taxes to help finance the government. Now the government pays our wealthiest interest on a swelling debt, caused largely by lower taxes on these same wealthy. Robert Frank, How Inequality Caused America's Affordability Crisis. Talking Points memo. The wealthy build big mansions simply because they can afford to do so. Their less wealthy friends leave gatherings at those mansions thinking they need more living space too, so they build more expensively as well. The resulting domino effect ends up raising home prices all the way down the line. Lane Brown, What Does Extreme Wealth Do to the Brain? New York Magazine. The most common impact of grand fortune, isolation. You don't meet anyone new in a private jet. Sarah Pequeño, The rich hate California's billionaire tax. That's why we need it. USA Today. Asking the people who own multiple mansions and private jets to pay a little bit more to make sure everyone gets by isn't crazy. It's necessary. May the 15th, gold and silver were hit hard. 1 billion people were told to stop buying gold. Earlier this week, India's Prime Minister Modi stood before 1.4 billion people and asked them to stop buying gold. Not a tariff, not a regulation, a public appeal backed by a government decision to double the import duty on gold and silver from 6% to 15% overnight. The reason? India's rupee is under serious strain from surging crude oil costs tied to the Hormuz conflict, and gold is the country's second largest import by value. The government is trying to defend its fiat currency by discouraging citizens from converting it into the one thing that competes with it. That's the structural story underneath today's prices. India is the world's second largest gold consumer and the dominant market for silver jewelry globally. When that demand gets switched off by government decree, both metals feel it, but silver feels it harder. Silver's demand is split between monetary buyers and industrial and jewelry buyers. India's import shock hit the second category directly. Gold's monetary bid, central banks, institutional allocators, long-term sound money holders absorbed the selling and held far better. The result, silver is down 14% from Tuesday's high of $89.38. Gold is down about 5% from its peak. The gold-silver ratio blew out from below 55 to nearly 59 in 48 hours. The ratio didn't change because gold weakened, silver's industrial bid blinked. If you own silver as a monetary asset, as a sound money allocation alongside your gold, today's move doesn't change the underlying thesis. The 6-year structural supply deficit is still there. The long-term case hasn't moved. What moved is India's near-term appetite for jewelry and industrial fabrication. That's a different story than the one you're positioned for. Knowing which bid just blinked is the whole game. On Kevin Warsh's first day as Fed chair, he meets with gold down 2% on the session, silver down 6%, and a Fed that has been frozen on rates for months, while inflation prints have run hot. His first policy meeting comes with zero room for easy wins. Cut and inflation expectations spike, hold, and the economy slows further. Gold is watching closely because what Warsh signals about the Fed's tolerance for above-target inflation will directly shape real yields for the next 12 months. The World Bank just forecast a 42% surge in precious metals this year. The institution, with no incentive to hype gold, just published a forecast calling for a 42% gain in precious metals in 2026. Gold is already up sharply year to date. The World Bank's view rests on fiscal expansion, persistent inflation, and accelerating central bank reserve diversification. When the institution that lends to governments starts publishing structural bull cases for the assets that protect against government currency debasement, that's the kind of institutional validation that matters. What the sound money community is saying, Ray Dalio said last week on CNBC that the US economy has entered a stagflationary period and that investors should hold 5 to 15% of their portfolios in gold as an effective diversifier. On Monday, he posted on X that Bitcoin has failed as a safe haven. Central banks aren't buying it. It sells off alongside tech stocks. And gold's deep institutional roots make it structurally different. The timing matters. He made the gold case loudly this week while both metals were pulling back. The broader community is reading the Modi story the same way the sound money community reads every government intervention in precious metals. When a government asks citizens to stop converting fiat into hard assets, it's showing you how much confidence it has in that fiat. The sentiment this week isn't gold is selling off, it's governments keep confirming why we hold it. What to watch? Warsh's first public statement as Fed chair, expected in the next few days, will set the tone for the next rate cycle. Markets are pricing a hold, but what matters most is whether he signals tolerance for above-target inflation or a renewed tightening bias. If Warsh leans hawkish, real yields spike and gold faces near-term pressure. If he acknowledges the stagflation trap the Fed has inherited, gold's structural floor strengthens. Watch for the language, not the decision. Alexandria Cortez this week said the single largest form of theft in America is wage theft. $50 billion a year are stolen from American workers. If a billionaire amasses their wealth by underpaying their full-time workers so severely that they must rely on food assistance and government programs to survive, then know that wealth was not earned by one individual. It was a wealth transfer subsidized by underpaid American workers and the public, who get stuck with the bill for large corporations free riding off our systems. The point is less about individual morality, it's more about how our current economic reality of shattering inequality rewards screwing over workers and exploiting essential systems at scale. We're talking monopoly power, rent-seeking, wage theft, profiteering, stock buybacks, destabilizing housing markets, companies using SNAP EBT to underwrite their wages, massive government subsidies or contracts to corporations, following lobbying and dark money in politics with little to no oversight or accountability. Some people get enraged that I draw attention to this, that's on them. Alexandria ends by saying, "Let them call me shrill, dumb, inexperienced, girly, uneducated. These folks will say anything to distract from or undercut the truth that working people are getting screwed, and giving people a fair shake means we must have a grown conversation about reining in abusive power, oligarchy or democracy, but we cannot have both." The iPhone 6 and 6 Plus, released by Apple in September 2014, held the record for the most units sold of any smartphone model to date. This remarkable achievement is largely attributed to Apple's strategic design and marketing decisions, which resonated with a wide audience. The iPhone 6 introduced a larger screen size, 4.7 inches for the standard model and 5.5 inches for the Plus, catering to the growing consumer preference for phablet-style devices. This shift not only attracted existing iPhone users eager for an upgrade, but also drew in customers from rival brands. Additionally, the iPhone 6 series featured significant improvements in hardware and performance, including a faster A8 chip, enhanced camera capabilities, and improved battery life. The introduction of Apple Pay also made the device more appealing, as it offered a seamless mobile payment solution. By the end of its production run, the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus had sold over 220 million units globally, a record that remains unbroken. Its success solidified Apple's dominance in the smartphone market and set the stage for future innovations, demonstrating the impact of combining cutting-edge technology with consumer-focused design. The iPhone 6, 6 Plus exemplifies how a product can redefine market standards and consumer expectations. Gavin Newsom was emailing, asking everyone to give $3 split between the Alabama and Tennessee Democratic parties, saying, if you understand the absolute assault they are under from Republicans dead set on rigging the next election and raising black representation in those states. He gives his link to contribute to, saying, here is the truth. The right is ruthless. Look what was done in Virginia. The Supreme Court overturned the will of the voters for transparent and democratically approved redistricted maps. Then look at what Ron DeSantis did in Florida, revealed in an exclusive with Fox News. They never went in front of the voters and were approved the next day by his legislature. Finally, look at what the governor of Louisiana is doing, using emergency powers to suspend a primary election after votes were already cast, to erase Democratic seats and black representation in his state. It's happening all across the South, including Tennessee and Alabama. It's real, and it's what we've been warning against. And the only thing that can stop it is you. It's all of us. We simply have to fight back. In Tennessee and Alabama, Republicans want to do this as quietly as possible. It's not popular at all. Your donation to those Democratic state parties will turn up the volume. It will fund accountability, events and ads, and it will help hold seats we would have otherwise lost up and down the ballot. You get it. I get it. We need to wake up the rest of the country to what is going on. an undemocratic power grab by an unpopular president and political party trying to rig the next election to avoid accountability from the voters. The giant sequoia is renowned for having the thickest bark of any tree species, with some specimens boasting bark that can measure up to 3 feet in thickness. This remarkable feature not only protects the tree from pests and diseases, but also acts as a fire-resistant shield, allowing these majestic giants to thrive in environments prone to wildfires. Native to the western slopes of the Sierra Nevada mountains in California, giant sequoias can reach heights of over 300 feet and live for over 3,000 years, making them some of the oldest living organisms on Earth. Their massive trunks, often exceeding 30 feet in diameter, contribute to their impressive stature. The thick bark is rich in tannins, a chemical compound that deters insects and inhibits fungal growth, providing an essential layer of defense. These trees play a crucial ecological role as well, supporting a diverse array of wildlife and contributing to the carbon cycle. Preserving giant sequoia groves is vital for maintaining biodiversity and combating climate change. Their grandeur and resilience inspire awe and reverence, solidifying the giant sequoia's status as a symbol of nature's enduring strength and beauty. Don Quixote, written by Miguel de Cervantes and published in 2 parts in 1605 and 1615, is widely regarded as the first modern novel. This groundbreaking work transcends the traditional narrative forms of its time by blending realism, fantasy, and complex character development. The story follows the delusional nobleman Alonso Quixano, who, inspired by chivalric romances, decides to become a knight-errant, adopting the name Don Quixote. His misadventures, often accompanied by his loyal squire Sancho Panza, serve as both a comedic exploration of idealism versus reality and a profound commentary on human nature. Cervantes' innovative approach to storytelling includes multiple perspectives, unreliable narrators, and a self-reflexive style that invites readers to question the nature of fiction itself. The themes of honor, madness, and the quest for identity resonate deeply, making Don Quixote not just a tale of adventure, but a timeless reflection on the human condition. It has influenced countless authors and is considered a precursor to modern narrative techniques, setting the stage for future literary movements. As a result, Don Quixote is celebrated not only for its historical significance, but also for its enduring relevance in the canon of world literature. As of 2024, Toyota stands out as the most valuable car brand, a title it has consistently held due to its unwavering commitment to quality, innovation, and sustainability. With a brand value estimated at over $60 billion, Toyota's reputation is bolstered by its extensive range of reliable vehicles, from fuel-efficient hybrids like the iconic Prius to cutting-edge electric models such as the BZ4X. Toyota's focus on sustainability is evident in its ambitious goal to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050, showcasing its leadership in environmental responsibility. The company has pioneered hybrid technology, setting the standard for eco-friendly vehicles and influencing the entire automotive industry. Moreover, Toyota's robust global supply chain and manufacturing prowess allow it to maintain a competitive edge, ensuring efficiency and resilience in production. The brand's reputation for reliability and customer satisfaction has fostered immense loyalty among consumers, further solidifying its position In addition to its impressive financial metrics, Toyota's investments in autonomous driving and smart mobility solutions signal its forward-thinking approach, preparing for the future of transportation. This combination of innovation, reliability, and sustainability makes Toyota not just a car manufacturer, but a leader in shaping the future of the automotive landscape, earning its title as the most valuable car brand of 2024. Ataraxia is defined as a state of serene calmness, free from emotional disturbance and anxiety. The origin is derived from the Greek word ataraxia, meaning imperturbability, which is a combination of not, and tarasein, to disturb. Example, after years of meditation and mindfulness practice, she finally achieved a profound state of ataraxia, untouched by the chaos around her. Ataraxia refers to a state of calmness characterized by the absence of mental distress and emotional turmoil. It embodies a tranquil mindset where individuals experience peace and contentment, unburdened by worries or anxieties. This serene state allows one to confront life's challenges with clarity and composure. Cultivating ataraxia can lead to enhanced well-being and improved decision-making as it fosters a balanced perspective. By embracing practices such as meditation, mindfulness, and deep breathing, individuals can navigate their thoughts and emotions more effectively, ultimately reaching a peaceful existence marked by inner harmony and stability.